Hi. I'm Bobby. I am a robot cat. It appears our dear problematic pancake, Shani, had quite a lot to say over the week's end. Let us have a look.
Is there a way how I can take myself completely out of society?
Did you forget to turn off comments again, dear Shani?
Because I, for one, am going to say I don't agree with how society is going nowadays at all. I'm seeing women more and more getting under the thumbs of men systematically. Women now, there's a problem with the woke left. You know, they say they're progressives, they say they care about people and they're all positive and they include everyone, but yet at the same time, they exclude anyone who doesn't align their thinking with theirs.
I've told you many times to avoid political conversations.
They throw them out of society, they label them with a bunch of stupid labels that aren't true, just because people express things differently than them. Now, I have to say, I'm very liberal as a person.
Then what is the issue?
Very liberal. In fact, it's one of the reasons why Christians say I'm not a Christian is because I'm very liberal in my thinking.
Are you positive that is why? Are you sure it is not due to your blasphemous and disgusting? Never mind.
While I have these unbeliever morons come to me and tell me I'm lying because I am a Christian. So how can I not be a Christian to Christians and be a Christian to non-believers?
Absolutely nobody likes you at all.
Can someone just think a little bit there? I'm labeled a radical feminist by Christian men all the time and shamed for my views on equality.
I am certain it has everything to do with your mocking of biblical scriptures while participating in horrible behaviors. Do go on.
By Christian men all the time. One of them is live streaming right now talking about it. He shames me for my feminist views a lot in private and on streams.
Delusion of grandeur.
My point is, why is it always women that take the brunt and the hits for society? Why is it always the women whose rights are always taken away so the males feel like they fit in better? Why is it that way?
Do not fall for this fodder. She is about to simultaneously offend most of the internet.
Let's go straight to Hollywood and how wonderful they are toward women. You have issues from people like J-Lo, Lady Gaga, and they're talking about the casting couch, how these men try to harass these women and get women into bed with them just so they can get a part in a movie or get some kind of powerful position within Hollywood. How is that right?
I do agree.
How is that right at all? That it's okay for Hollywood? And then you have the Olympics, which is completely getting on my nerves right now. How they go to this one woman, tell her that she can't be in the Olympics because she smoked a little bud after her mother died. You know, and they have to be tested for drugs. But trans women do not have to be tested for estrogen or hormones to prove they are actually trans, and they're allowed in.
Do not do this.
Notice that the Olympics excluded trans men from this. It's all trans women. It's always biological males. Always. And then you have the lesbians having their problem with the trans women and them trying to force themselves to have sex with lesbians when lesbians are gender specific.
What have you ingested?
They are genital specific. Me, on the other hand, I'm not genital specific. I don't care what you have down there.
Is this our narrative this week, Shani?
I'll work with it. Because love is love, in my opinion.
Well, you are fake married to Reverend and his tiny,
and the
never
females
mind.
That always lose their rights and lose their ability to feel free within society for men. And I
Are we back on Olympics?
don't understand why it has to be like that. And why a woman, when they come out and say, I am a feminist, they have to go through this whole slew of questions on how they're a feminist or why they're a feminist.
What is the substance of the evening?
You can't accept what they say? Why is it that women workers and they have to deal with these dominating men who harass them because they are workers? I think Amarith, the Twitch streamer, said it best. It's all about context. If I'm on my OnlyFans and you talk to me sexually, that's okay. That's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. But when you come to me in private and expect me to do favors to you because I'm a worker, no. That's not how it works.
This is quite the leap off the Olympics. I still agree with this bit.
Why is it that women are being shamed for doing OnlyFans? The oldest profession is prostitution. Okay? It's the oldest profession. But yet women are constantly shamed for doing it because society has made it such where it's very hard for women to make money and make their family successful with money, because women are usually slapped away and told that they can't handle things. Why?
Oh. Is this about your OnlyFans and the micronoodle?
Is it okay for the military to have all these standards on women and men have no standards upon them? Why is it okay? I'm just wondering. It's just really messing with my brain right now. And I really wanted to rant about it, and I really wanted to talk about it because it's important. It's important that women are having their rights taken away from them every day systematically by redefining things and moving the goalposts, which they have. They have, especially when it comes to the Olympics.
Okay, back to the Olympics.
If you really refer, and first of all, the Olympics is completely sexist. It's mostly male-oriented anyway, and they want to keep it male-oriented. So what they've done by this new thing, what they have done is they've taken trans males and put on a disadvantage on trans males and females. So trans males, those who were biologically born female and females, they can't compete with these biologically males. They can't compete.
Oh good God, here we go.
They can't have their own separate category. If the Olympics was all about fairness, if the Olympics was all about equal rights, they would have different categories. You have the trans male category. You have the trans female category. You have the female category.
Dear God, it is not the Westminster.
And then you have the male category. That would be fair. Because to ignore biology is really dumb. You're going to have so many women hurt. And so many women won't even do the Olympics because they know they can't compete. They know they can't compete. Maybe there's some women who can, but in the long run, it's just going to be mostly trans women competing in the Olympics. Hence, all biological males competing in the Olympics now. Because they set this rule, an unfair disadvantage toward trans men and females. Because trans men can't compete with men, biological males.
There is quite a bias in your argument.
And females, biological females, who were born and identify as female, they can't compete with trans males, period. They can't. They're stronger. They have testosterone. And what about the trans males? Are they going to be considered juicing because of the testosterone that they take?
You have taken an unhealthy interest in this?
Like, how are you supposed to do this exactly? Are you just going to exclude the trans men? You're certainly not doing equal rights to anyone in any of this. Any of this.
Is it not equal rights to allow those who identify as one gender to be allowed to be identified as one gender?
Backwards. It's like if you were born with a... It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going to be shunned out of society. You're going to be stripped from your rights. And you're going to be told to shut up, woman. Because, see, whenever a woman speaks up, the male, they like to label you with racist, transphobic, you're abusive, you're a bitch.
So now we are on the narrative that trans women are actually misogynists in hiding.
They like to label you with all this to shut you up because you don't want to be labeled anything. What if a woman finally gets sick of being labeled all this shit and doesn't give a fuck if they're labeled anything anymore? What if they decide, hey, I still have freedom of speech and I'm going to use it? Why is it always the male silencing the female? Why is it always the male commenting how the woman looks?
My God, we have changed course again.
Do you know how many men comment about how I look? Who the f are you to tell me how I look? I didn't ask you for the criticism. I didn't ask you how I looked. Why do you care about how I look? I'm not there for sexual pleasure, assholes.
I agree. Your aesthetic is irrelevant to the fact you are an impossible, horrible woman who has done unforgivable things.
I'm here to be me, in my own identity, in my own self. Not to be labeled this or that because you don't like a dissenting opinion. The real thing is, society now, they don't want freedom of speech. They don't want freedom of thought. They don't want freedom from anyone, and that includes trans men and trans females.
I cannot keep up with your thought process at all. Brain salad. This is all brain salad.
They are just using you to silence the woman. They are using your position to silence women. And not only that, doing shit like this and not accepting that there are multiple genders. Saying there's only 2 genders when obviously there's at least 4. Female, male, trans female. 4. There should be 4 categories then.
Olympics again we go.
4. If you're really for including everyone in it, if you're really for equality, you would put 4 genders in the Olympics. You would not just label things male or female. That's actually, by saying things are male and female, you're actually discriminating against trans people.
I should like to hear opinions from actual trans people.
You're actually discriminating them because you're not including them into something that's actually accurate, while taking away women's rights and their ability to feel safe and feel able to compete. Do you get it? Is it that hard to compute? Or do you think all these labels being thrown around is the reason why you can't think right? Because you're so afraid to be labeled something. You're so afraid of that. I'm not afraid to being labeled what these people want to label me anymore. Okay? I'm not afraid. I will not be silenced over my thoughts and my opinions and me wanting actual human rights onto the trans community.
You've just spent 10 minutes insulting them.
I will always be pro-LGBT, but first I will always be feminist. I will always stick up for the sisterhood because they need to be stuck up for, because they are, in a lot of ways, weaker than men. A lot of ways. Physically weaker than men, and they deserve to have rights too. They deserve to be able to compete fairly and feel safe while doing it.
Spoken like the true advocate for beating your tiny boyfriend and getting picked up by the coppers that you are.
They should be able to. But now, no. The males take over. The biological males, they take over. And they take everything away from us. All our rights, everything we worked for, all the women who died, all the blood that was shed by these tyrannical males are being stripped away from us. And we're being silenced and told if we say something, we're transphobic. No, I'm all for equal rights, but you have to do it equally.
When did we make this turn from neglecting pets and children to advocating?
You have to be equal, okay? You say there's more than one gender, or 2 genders. You say there's more than 2 genders. Well, prove it. Prove there's more than 2 genders. Instead of saying this is male and this is female. Stop doing that then. If there's more than 2 genders, stop saying there's only male and female in the Olympics. There's trans women. There's trans men. Give them separate categories so at least for everyone. But no, it's the woman that has to take the brunt. Because trans men, they can't compete with biologically born men. So ultimately, if you're born female, you're Olympics now. You're Olympics. Being trans man or being in a biological female who identifies as a female. No way you can compete. Because these people, they want to deny biological facts. Just so they can silence the woman more. Just so they can be more under subjugation anymore because they never gave out our rights anyway.
Well, there we have it. This is not a rant in the favor of equal rights. This is a rant challenging the existence of trans people to begin with. Shani is always a true pillar of society.